We've all seen how easily a weird mechanic can kill the flow of an otherwise fun platformer level, but the problem isn't the gimmick itself, it's execution. One mistake is enough to take a gimmick from spicing your level up to ruining it. So today I'm breaking down the 2 mistakes you could be making and how to fix your gameplay without abandoning your core idea. Let's start with mistake number 1. Put yourself in the shoes of your level's audience. You're playing through a lower-end platformer game. Each new section presents a challenge, you get the hang of it through trial and error, and eventually you pull off the winning attempt. This carries on for a few sections, and then the gimmick. Your progress comes to a screeching halt, your frustration building the longer you remain stuck in this room. Why couldn't they just stick with the gameplay before this, you think to yourself? Why am I being forced to learn a whole new game in the middle of this level? You sit there, steaming, as the level demands that you devote a significant chunk of time to mastering this stupid mechanic before you're allowed to see the rest of the gameplay. Your experience with the level as a whole suffers. A problem like this is not uncommon at all. A couple of popular examples are Speed Tech and Spinbound Zone. With both of these levels, the player is moving along and having a good time until they're forced to engage with the mechanic. Because the mechanic is poorly handled, it breaks the flow of the gameplay loop and creates a sudden, jarring difficulty spike. But what do I mean by poorly handled? If the introduction of slope boosting or spin bounce physics is so bad for the enjoyability of an easy-to-hard platformer demon, what can be done to improve the enjoyability without removing them? Well, here's the simple answer. Your gimmick isn't unusable, it's just that the difficulty of the level around your gimmick needs to match its complexity and vice versa. I shouldn't need a math degree to understand an easy platformer demon. If you're working with a genuinely challenging mechanic, consider building the rest of the level around that higher complexity. Dive into all the nuances your mechanic has to offer. Include combinations that allow victors to show off their skill and mechanical prowess. Let prospective players know what they're getting themselves into from the start. Now, instead of a level that casual players will be frustrated by, you have a level that hardcore players will be challenged by. But you still need to watch out for mistake number 2. Picture this. You've finally finished your passion project of several months and uploaded it to the Geometry Dash servers. You're quite proud of it. The core mechanic is perfectly functional and fits in seamlessly with the difficulty of the level around it. But when you open the comments, you find them full of people complaining about the mechanic, saying, "It makes no sense. How can you expect us to understand it? Delete this crash and make a normal level." What is their problem? If other gimmicky levels are so beloved by the community, what's wrong with yours? Well, let's take a look at a few of those levels and see what they're doing that works. First, we have Forced Spam Area. The level starts by introducing its rule. Holding down the jump input is the same as spamming. Interacting with it a few times allows the player to fully understand how this level works, and from then on, each section is a puzzle that tests their knowledge of well-established orb and vehicle mechanics. And even if your mechanic is way more compounded than this, that's fine. A gimmick isn't confusing because it's complicated, it's confusing because the player can't predict how it behaves. However simple or complex your core mechanic is, make sure that it's understandable to the player. Next, let's observe Destroy the Level, which will help us learn how to telegraph gimmicks properly. Sir Punj takes his time breaking down the player's moveset into bite-sized lessons, slowly introducing them to their various abilities. Only after this is done does he drop them into a final put-it-all-together section with increased difficulty and no checkpoints. You too should take the time to telegraph to your players everything they'll be expected to do while playing your level. Third, Athos by Insidious shows us the difference between the base level of mechanics that are introduced to the player and the nuanced, more robust segments that make the level memorable. The hard demon in question combines mid-air jumps, bouncy surfaces, ice blocks, and wall jumps into one level. It starts by introducing each mechanic one by one in a safe, predictable way, then gradually adds more hazards and onboards the complexity by combining gimmicks or requiring the player to interact with them in deeper ways. Forced Spam Area also onboards the complexity of its core mechanic by throwing in a wrinkle at the end. Now the mechanic periodically turns off and back on again, introducing timing and urgency. Use these levels as guidelines. You can build whatever mechanics you want, because as long as you nail the difficulty fit, readability, and onboarding, even the weirdest gimmicks can feel amazing to play. But what about the polar opposite, levels defined by featuring no distinct gimmicks at all? The video on screen evaluates the often criticized needle trend and whether or not there's value in simple gameplay.